Hey guys, it's Kelsey here, your best friend on the homestead from roughandtumblefarmhouse.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own crème fraîche from scratch. It's super simple, you just need some really basic ingredients and it tastes fantastic. Crème fraîche is really very versatile. It's something you see oftentimes used on fresh fruits and things like that. You can also kind of give it a savory kick and eat it drizzled over top of summer vegetables and asparagus and stuff. It's really delicious, and it's a really fun, easy ferment project and also a really simple home dairy project as well. Now, crème fraîche is it's not quite sour cream. It's a little bit different. It's got a little bit of a looser texture typically, and it also has kind of a sweetness to it that you don't get from sour cream, but it still has that really delicious tang. And now for this recipe that I'm using, there's a couple different ways you can make it, and I'm going to talk a little bit about them at the end here. And then I'll also link below to a blog post where I'll go into full details about how you can make it with different methods. But today, this is what we're going to use. I have here a quart of mostly heavy cream. You can use all heavy cream. I do about this much heavy cream and just a little bit on top of a whole milk. This is store-bought. This is pasteurized. Our cow is dried down. Usually we use, raw milk and stuff from our girl out in the pasture when we do dairy projects. But right now she's dried down, which is really actually a great time to kind of get a handle on some new dairying methods that you want to use in your kitchen when you're not busy trying to deal with all the milk coming in and everything too. So here I've got my kind of milk cream half and half sort of mixture. And then today we are going to be using just a really simple store-bought culture. This one is from, I think, New England Cheesemaking Company. You can also get them from Cultures for Health is another great place to get them. This is just straight up a crème fraîche culture. Now the methods I'll talk about here at the end. You can also use a buttermilk culture if you have one with live cultures, or you can use culture from a buttermilk if you have a buttermilk with live cultures. You can also use kefir grains if you have those as well. And again, I'll kind of touch on them briefly after I show you the method in general, and then the full details are in the blog post below. So first things first, we're going to take our cream here and we're going to heat it over on the stove to 86 degrees. So we want to make sure that we are doing it kind of nice low and slow so we're not scorching the sugars in the milk. We also want to make sure to kind of help with that, we have a nice thick bottom pan. Okay, so here we are. We have hit our 86 degrees, so it's ready to go. The next thing you're going to need for this is kind of a thicker bowl here. You could also use a insulated little cooler. I've used insulated drinking coolers before, but this is what we're going to use today, and it'll work just fine. You just want something a little bit thicker like this, because something that's thin this way, you're going to lose the heat, and you want it to stay warm while it's kind of incubating. So I'm just going to pour this into my bowl here. And the next step is we are going to add our culture. So here I have the culture in the packet ready to go. Just going to rip it open. And we're just going to sprinkle it across the top. The whole thing. And then we're going to let it sit here for 2 minutes to sort of rehydrate before we stir it in. So just get the whole packet out there and let it do its thing. And then while that sits for 2 minutes, I'll tell you about some other methods here quick. So if you want to do this with a cultured buttermilk instead, if you already have a cultured buttermilk with live active cultures in your fridge, you're going to do the same process. You're going to heat it up, and then you're going to add 4 tablespoons per quart. So in this situation, you'd add 4 tablespoons of buttermilk. Now, I don't have a homemade buttermilk video yet, but I am actually working on one for next week. So if you want to learn how to make your own cultured buttermilk as well, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell button. You'll be notified as soon as that video comes out so you can learn how to make your own buttermilk as well. Now, another option you can do as well that I talked about is you can do it with kefir. So in that situation, it's up to you if you're going to heat the milk or not. I find with my kefir, unless it's in the middle of the summer, it really struggles to get going if I don't heat it a little bit first. So that's just my personal preference, is that I would bring it up to probably like the 85, 86 degree range. You're going to put your kefir grains in there and then let it sit for about 24 hours. And that should basically make you sort of a naturally cultured crème fraîche. You want to, of course, take your kefir grains out. And I do have a whole video I'll link at the end of this video about how to make your own milk kefir. But so those are some other options you can do to kind of more naturally culture this if you don't want to start out with a store-bought culture. Okay, so this has sat now for about 2 minutes. So really simply, I'm going to take my whisk here, and you always want to make sure you're using stainless steel is ideal. You can use wood, you can use plastic, but I feel like they can get sort of other flavors and stuff in them if, they weren't washed really, really well. So I like to just go with a stainless steel. So we're just doing sort of an up-down motion. Give it a good stir. Okay, and now we are gonna cover this up and I'm gonna set it on my countertop for the next 12 hours. So I'm gonna put a plate over top here, you'll see, and then I'm probably gonna wrap the whole thing in like a thicker kind of bathroom towel as opposed to like a thin kitchen towel, just to try and keep a little bit of that warmth still in there. Ideally, we want this to incubate at right around 75 degrees. Our house is a little bit colder than that, so I wanna try and keep as much heat in there as I can. You should let this sit for about 12 hours. You can go a little bit longer. It's going to get a little bit more of a sour flavor the longer you let it go. I'm starting this kind of early afternoon, so 12 hours from now is like 1 o'clock in the morning. So mine's going to go more like 17 hours, and that's going to be just fine. And in the morning, I'm just going to go ahead and take the cover off, and it should be ready to go. Kind of stir it up a little bit. It should be delicious, tangy, a little bit sweet. I like to store this in just a quart jar in the fridge. It keeps well for about a week, and then it will start to get even more sour. It also will thicken up in the fridge, so don't worry if you think, oh my gosh, this is super duper runny. It will thicken up as it sits there and as it cools down. If you have any questions at all, please make sure you pop them in the comment box below. I'm going to link here to my milk kefir video. I'm going to also link to my raw milk yogurt video, so you can go ahead and keep kind of exploring homemade dairy. I've got a ton of homemade dairying videos here on the channel, so make sure you check those out. Otherwise, we'll see you here next week for more from our rough and tumble farmhouse.